This is episode 143, How to Be Incredibly Consistent. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/BlakeMallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode. Walk with me. So recently had a really cool experience. I had a chance to reconnect with one of my longtime business partners, someone I worked really closely with for over a decade. I mean, that's like a quarter of my life. And different seasons of life came in and we hadn't spoke for many, many years. And recently had a chance to catch up and reconnect. And what made it super interesting is we did it live on a podcast. It was an amazing environment. One of my longtime mentors was the host, and I trust him implicitly, and it was a cool experience. Matter of fact, I'll probably end up pushing out the episode on my podcast here coming up, so stay tuned for it because it's one worth watching on many levels. And it was interesting after the conversation. You know, my longtime partner sent me a little personal text, and it went something to the extent of, "Hey, I just want to say I've always admired you for your consistency. And I've tried to use your example as I've grown in my own leadership, working with my own teams." And I thought, number one, that was just a really cool message. I replied, something that I've always admired in him and his ability. And anyway, it just got me thinking on that word, consistency, which is a word that I do hear time to time from people that are close to me. Or work alongside me for a longer period of time. And I love that word. I think it's a huge compliment. And I guess it is something that I don't even think about personally, because it's something that for me just is. And I don't say that from an ego standpoint, just from an awareness standpoint. We all have things in our life that we just do, and they're so a part of us that we don't even consciously think about it anymore. Like if you were to ask me, you know, what character traits, like I would put at the top of my list or things I'm most proud of, like consistency probably wouldn't even make my reply. And that's why some people that are close to us are always great mirrors, right? Putting mirrors up on ourselves, causing us to reflect and maybe shift into an awareness, something that should be there but isn't. And I want to talk and unpack this conversation, this word. Morning. Consistency. What it means, why it's valuable. And I guess if I were to kind of reverse engineer what has allowed me to be consistent throughout my life, some insight I'll share with you that might help you in your journey and whatever you want to be more consistent in. But today is a super relevant one for everybody. No matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, what you're focused on right now, where your energy, where your life is going, consistency is key. before we get into maybe a couple thoughts on how to develop it, how to get better at it, how to stick with it, why does it matter? Why is it important? If I were to say, is consistency important in moving you toward your potential right now? Consistency important in helping you become who you're meant to be? Would you say yes or no? And if you would say, yeah, it's important, I'd agree. My question to you is, well, why is consistency important? What's the value that it brings? Why is today's conversation so relevant to all of us, or it should be? And I think it's important for a few reasons. Consistency allows for duration. Guys, no matter what it is in life, things take time. Almost everything takes time. I'll say anything worthwhile, right, takes time. So duration means consistency allows you enough time to get better. It allows you enough time to learn. It allows you enough time to improve. It allows you enough time to mess up, to fall down, to make a mistake, to correct, to adapt. Consistency allows you enough time to develop, to grow, to progress, to learn. Consistency allows enough time for maybe things even outside of you, the environment around you, the market around you, the people around you, the circumstances around you to align or fall into place. You guys see, to get better at anything, you want to be good at a trade. You want to get good at a sport, right? You want to be good at a skill, at a task. You want to excel in your career, your business, your profession. You want to achieve, right, and advance and move to a level of excellence in anything. It's going to take time. And depending on where you're at right now and what it is you're focused on, it could take a lot of time. How much time? A lot of times we don't even know how much time. But I can tell you it's going to take allowing yourself enough duration to move forward until everything aligns, until you get to where you want. And for some things that may be weeks, it may be months, it may be years, it may be decades. For some things it may be a lifespan. And without consistency, you're not going to allow yourself enough duration in order to allow what you want to be to become. So often we just don't allow ourselves enough time for things to unfold the way that they can. And consistency enables that. So consistency allows for a duration. Consistency allows for things to compound. You see, the power of consistency is when we do things consecutively, we do things in sequence, we do things repeatedly, we do things over and 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 over again. It's not just a linear progression, it's an exponential progression. The power of consistency is a power of compounding. You get better, right? It's not a 1 + 1 = 2. It's a 1 + 1 = 11. You have the power of compounding your skill, compounding your energy, compounding your experience, compounding your results. So consistency, a lot of times people undervalue because we tend to think linearly and we don't realize that things work exponentially or geometrically. Consistency opens the power of compounding in a direction that you want. That's why you see people that are excel at a sport. They put in the time, right? They put in the reps and they do it over and over and over again, and they start to get an exponential result, pull ahead of the pack. It's so much better than the rest. It's not just the hour put in or the time exchanged, it's the compounding power that consistency brings. Consistency also brings confidence. You guys, confidence is important for all of us, no matter who we are and what we're doing. You see, a lot of times we want to be confident in something before we begin or before we start. We want to be confident, right, before we're good. And let's be honest, for most of us, we're not born with a natural confidence in everything we want to excel at. Quite the opposite. When we begin something, it is quite normal or natural, to be a little insecure, right? To lack maybe some of the confidence, to have a concern or a worry, right? Or a stress. That's normal when we begin something new, right? It's something new. There's an unknown, right? There can be an element of fear in all of that. But the secret is not to wait until you have the confidence to begin. It's to begin and stay consistent. And consistency actually builds the confidence. Think about everything that we do. The more you do it, the more confident you get, right? The second time you do it, you're more confident than the first time. The third time you do it, you're more confident than the second. You do it over and over and over and over and over again, your confidence in that thing expands. And you guys, that confidence allows you actually to get better at that very thing. Removing the fear, removing the concern allows you to operate from a place of full capacity, right? Confidence actually helps with the compounding, helps accelerate through that duration. And you know what's funny is it doesn't just build confidence in yourself. Consistency also builds confidence in others around you. We're confident in people that we see are consistent in their direction, right? We have a confidence in consistency. Who do we like to rely on? People we feel are responsible. Who do we like to depend on? People we know are there, right? Who do we think are our go-tos? People that we know are consistent. Consistency brings and breeds confidence in yourself and others around you about yourself. So I can keep going, and I'm sure there's other things that come to your mind of the value of consistency, but I think we're all able to agree that there's value in consistency. So let me get to maybe just some thoughts on my mind. If I were to ask myself, okay, well, what has allowed me to be consistent in my life? And I'll take that compliment. And I guess it's true in a lot of things. I think we can all always be better. I always strive to be better. None of us is perfect, but I've managed to build an element of consistency and, in my relationships. I've been with my wife, Karis, now for 22 years, high school sweethearts. I have friends that I've kept all the way since I was young, through elementary school, high school, college, work, seasons of life, consistency in my relationships. I've managed to be consistent in my health, right? We have these conversations as I'm finishing my runs every morning. I try to be consistent. I always want to be better. I can do better. I will do better, but I've managed to be consistent over my lifespan when it comes to health and in business, right? A 22-year entrepreneurial journey of ups and downs, a true roller coaster, but through it all, staying a single course, a crazy story, really have only ever done one thing. Now that one thing has morphed with the environments around, but the one thing has been one thing. It's been a consistent streak of ups and downs in a direction. So I guess I can say there's been things in my life, but I've been able to maintain an element of consistency on it. If I ask myself, well, how? There's three things that come to my mind that work for me. And I'll share those three things because you might take them and apply them, and you might find that they work for you in what you're focused on right now. I think for me, the first thing is, in order to be consistent, you have to begin with the end in mind. I remember the first time I read that from a Stephen Covey book. I was in college, and I loved that term, begin with the end in mind. Matter of fact, my very first nice car, when I moved out of the old, very beat up Honda Civic, crank windows, right? Discman plugged in with the cassette tape. And I bought my first BMW. I got a license plate that said end in mind, end in mind. And I think beginning with the end in mind, meaning to know what your outcome is. What is the desired outcome that you want? You have to start there. Consistency starts with knowing your outcome. Consistency starts with the end in mind. In other words, what is it that you really truly want? What's the direction that you go in? You have to start with the destination, because knowing the destination then gives you a direction to be consistent in. And it sounds so simple and so obvious, but so many people don't have a destination. It's like you'd never would pack up the kids and pack up the family on a road trip without a destination. You would just be driving around in circles, right? You have to have a destination in order to navigate. You have to have a destination in order to turn right or turn left. You have to have a destination in order to have a progression. You got to be moving somewhere that is very clear. So you got to ask yourself, when it comes to something you want to get better at, and this can apply to health, it can apply to relationships, it can apply to finances, it can apply to business, it can apply to entrepreneurship, it can apply to any facet of your life. You want to be more consistent at what is the desired outcome? What is the destination? And you got to be clear on what that is. And it's got to be a place you want to go. It's got to be something that you want to have. Like, you got to have clarity in a destination that you want in order to be consistent in. Because once you have a destination, you know what direction you're headed. As things come up, you know what direction to go, right? You can keep moving and progressing forward. And sometimes forward means taking steps backward and, going a different route and finding another way. But all of that is still progressing consistently toward a destination that you want. So I think the first thing sounds simple, but so many people miss it. So many people wake up every day and they don't have a destination. They're a floodlight all over instead of a laser on where they want to go. What's the destination? Begin with the end in mind. I think the second thing that I've always kind of naturally applied is a commitment. Because consistency doesn't come without a commitment. So once you have a desired destination, you have to make a real commitment. And it's a commitment. It's a commitment first to yourself that this is something that is important to you, that destination is a priority in your life. It's something meaningful to you. It is something that you have a desire for. It's something that you want. You need to make a real commitment to yourself that it matters. Because without making a commitment that it matters, you're not going to have the energy, the fortitude, the resilience, the endurance to stay consistent in a direction. Because you know what? We all know stuff comes up. That's life. Problems arise. That's normal. Things are going to change for everybody. We know this. So there better be a real commitment to that desired outcome, to yourself. And don't lie to yourself. Make a real decision. A lot of people don't have a destination, and even more people today, they don't make a real commitment. Flavor of the month. Overnight entrepreneur. Right? Here today, gone tomorrow, living their life by the blowing of the wind. You're never going to build consistency without a real commitment. And a commitment starts with yourself. I recommend expanding that commitment to people around you that can hold you accountable, people you care about. And you guys, it's not about an accountability, right? But it's about sharing with people that you care about and care about you, something that's meaningful and important, so that way they can be a support for you. The minute we are able to go public, going public meaning share with somebody else something that we're making a commitment to, it adds weight to that commitment to ourselves. And if we have the right people that'll hold us accountable, it'll help us in that direction. So I think it starts with a destination, right? Begin with the end in mind. And I think it's followed up by a commitment to yourself and sharing that commitment with others. And then the last thing that I'll throw in for today when it comes to consistency is we got to take the very things that move us in that direction. We got to make it a habit. You guys, by definition, a habit is something that we're able to do over and over and over again. And the nature of a habit is because we do it consistently, it ends up taking less effort and less energy than things that we do sporadically. And there's been so many great, books, Atomic Habit, right? 8th Habit, on habits. There's so many great conversations. You guys, habits are everything. It's undeniable, right? Excellence is not a choice, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Show me what you do every day. I'll show you your future, right? You guys, habits, what we do every single day are what move us consistently. And we got to take the things that matter and that we're committed to and that are moving us in a direction. We got to make them habits. Now, some things we do every day, right? Some things we do every week. Some things we do every month. Some things we do in, every quarter or every year, right? There's different time spans for things that are important, but we got to make all of those habits. And by taking the actions consistently, we build the confidence and we start to build the discipline. And what ends up happening is it becomes self-fulfilling, because the more you do something, the better you get at something. The more you do something, the more confident you get at something. The more you do something, the more it becomes a habit, the less energy and effort it takes to actually do again. And pretty soon you shift. And this is the secret. And this is what I found, because this is why it doesn't hit my level of awareness, because the things I do, I don't have to think about doing. They've become habits in my life. They've moved out of a need for a motivation just to a daily discipline. It just is what it is. It's what I do. It is a discipline. And I only share this to let you guys know that it's possible, right? And it's possible in anything. And I'm one example. I'm speaking from my own experience, but you look at people that have achieved high levels of greatness and in so many aspects of life, and all these are true. They have an end in mind. They make a real commitment to themselves and others, and they take the things that matter and they make them habits over and 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 over again, and they unlock the power of compounding and confidence. So you guys, that's just a few thoughts inspired by a text message and that word consistency that I think is so important in so many things. And I think those are just a few steps that I know will help. So I challenge you, what are some things right now you want to be more consistent in your life? You know what they are, right? Do you see value in consistency based on this conversation? What's the value? And if there's enough value, then ask yourself the key questions. What's the end in mind that you want to move toward? Anything. Set it, think it, declare it, make it clear, right? Make a commitment to yourself that you're going to move in that direction. Tell people that you care about. And then figure out what are things that you can do to turn into habits, and just begin, just start. And don't worry if you're not perfect, or you miss a day, or you stop the streak, or you fall off the rag. And that's normal, guys. Consistency doesn't mean perfect. Consistency means over time, you're continuing to move forward. And I promise you, if you start with those three things, you're going to start unlocking a more powerful consistency in your life. Beautiful day. Look at the clouds coming in. Cool clouds coming through the canyon. Make the shift from where you are to the life that you're meant to have, what you're meant to do, and the impact you're meant to make. Till next time, take care, everybody.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. Simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. So if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.